Hello, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the South Kingstown Town Council. This is a regular session. It's Wednesday, May 1st, 2019. We're meeting for a show cause hearing tonight, but our first order of business is the pledge to the flag.
Abel, just a quick correction for the record. This is a special session.
Okay. Special.
Says right.
I stand corrected. I guess Dale says it was noticed as a regular. Then you were correct.
Oh, good. My favorite thing. Let's do the roll call.
Okay. Council President Collins.
Here.
Council Vice President DeCruz.
Here.
Councilwoman Keltzow.
Here.
Councilman McAtee.
Here.
Councilman Vealy.
Here.
All members present.
All right, thank you. So item 4, under 4A, is a show cause hearing relative to a Class B victualler liquor license issued to Anchor Pete's, doing business as Anchor Pete's pursuant to General Laws 3.5-20 and 3-5-21, to determine whether to revoke or suspend the license or to impose a fine or take another disciplinary action against the licensee for failure to comply. The alleged violations constituting a breach of the conditions of Anchor Pete's doing business as Anchor Pete's Class B victualler liquor license are violation of General Laws 3-8-1, sales to underage persons, and Rhode Island General Laws 3-8-5, penalty for violations relating to underage persons.
Abel, I would recommend that we begin by having the chief come up to the podium to inform the council in a summary fashion of what happened.
Good evening. Chief Joe Jaber, South Kingstown Police. As you know, on April 2nd, the council issued particular sanctions against Anchor Pete's, and their license was suspended for 10 days. They reopened on April 18th, and then they immediately sent out a flyer that I think all of you have seen, advertising college night, and we're back at it again. And that was the truth. They were. So that evening, prior to the college night, one of our officers got in touch with Anchor Pete's and spoke to Mr. Trikulis and said, are you planning on hiring a detail officer? The answer was, well, yeah, I guess I will. I guess I have to. After that, the detail officer showed up about 10:30 that evening, was scheduled to work until 1 o'clock. Well, around 11 o'clock, the place became so full that he had to call for a backup because he noticed that a lot of the identifications were not being checked properly. There weren't enough people to handle the crowd that was coming in. On that evening, they were supposed to have a green wristband on if they were 21 or older. Officers at that time observed one gentleman buy a pitcher of beer. He had a green wristband on. He handed the pitcher of beer off to someone who later turned out to be a juvenile. And that juvenile was, not juvenile, under 21. And he began drinking out of the pitcher immediately. The place became completely unruly. The officer waited for backup. They did a sweep of the bar, and subsequent to that, arrested three young students, underage students, for possession of alcohol. They charged one student with procurement for a minor, and they charged one with public drunkenness. The following morning, when I was preparing the report for the town council and the town manager, we also realized that they had not paid the fine, the previous fine of $500, nor showed any proof of tip certification. So at that time, we immediately went over there and closed them down. on a Thursday. Friday, Mr. Trikulis, I believe, came to the town hall here and paid his fine, and he reopened. So anyway, I guess long story short is there doesn't seem to be any recognition of rules or regulations. They're creating a serious problem with endangering not only those young students, but police officers and anyone in the public subjected to these people leaving drunk. So there has been no recognition of the sanctions that were given, and it's my belief this is going to continue. It's not going to end. It's only going to get worse. This place is creating problems where we have to bring our whole shift over to that restaurant while they should be out on the road. We had an entire shift over there trying to clean up the mess, and we even had to call Narragansett Police to back us up on this particular night, the 24th. So this was the first Wednesday after the suspension, and he was right back at it again. So I don't know what else to do. I'm just concerned about the public, my officers, and the young adults who are drinking over there.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Chief. What are our options now?
Well, I think first, I don't know if there are any questions for the chief, and then I think Mr. Trikulis ought to be given the opportunity to come up, and then I'm going to present you with some options.
Okay. Any questions for the chief?
Chief, it was April 24th, so the following Wednesday?
Yes, April 24th.
The officers, they were in uniform or plain clothes?
Uniform.
So I guess, like, the reason why I asked that question, I mean, is they're not even respecting the fact that there's a police officer.
No, actually, there's probably a mention in there that by the sergeant in his memo that the officers, while they were checking IDs, were actually being harassed by the crowd, and they were severely outnumbered.
Any other questions for the chief? All right. Thank you. We may call you back up. Pete, or Mr. Trikulis?
Pete Trikulis from Anchor Pete's. I'd like to say I was trying to get a hold of my lawyer. I was going to see if I can get more time because I got the summons on Monday night, and my lawyer is not in Rhode Island at the moment. And I mean, a lot of the stuff that the chief said are not 100% true because I didn't send out a flyer. That was sent out by the Pence group. I argued that day. Janet was there. I didn't want to have the night, but we had a contract with this group, and this was the last one we were doing. So I did not send out no flyer. That flyer wasn't made through me. I argued with the company. We fought. I had a security company. There was 210 people there. We kept count. We didn't go over the capacity. We had 10 bounces, and I'd really like to get a lawyer because I'm not going to sit there and just. I mean, you weren't there, so I mean, how would you know? I mean, I'm telling you the honest truth. I have cameras. We can go back and look at the cameras. I did not have overcapacity. There was. I mean, I'm just tired of like exaggerating stuff, and I'd like to get a lawyer. I don't want to sit there and, it's not right. I mean, you weren't even there, so you.
Sir, if you can just direct your comments to us.
No, it's not right to put me on the spot and then tell me a day to get a lawyer, and it's not right. I mean, it's a restaurant. Just trying to run a business. I mean, constantly cops coming in, parking, blocking the barricades for customers who can't even get in, and then
I can understand that you're upset.
frustrating. I'm trying to run a business, and
I understand that you're upset, and this is your
I really would
livelihood.
like it's not right. It's not right. I'm getting my balls busted. I mean,
But there
what am I
were-
supposed to do? I'm selling the place because I just have had it. I lost my staff. I was close to 2 weeks. It's not that I didn't even want to do this stupid college thing. It's just I had a contract with this stupid group. I called them to come over here and argue. I had Louis, the guy who was here previous, run the security, so I felt in good hands with him. I'm done with this college stupid stuff. It's not the road I wanted to go on. And I'm sitting here because I'm trying to get things right. I'm trying to have a security. I brought the detail here because I wanted to make things run right. You know, that's why I brought the detail. That's why I brought security. That's why I brought my brother. That's why I brought 3 extra guys. I want to do things right. I don't want to do college stuff and, you know, I don't want to wreck my character as a college, like, underage. That's not my style. Unfortunately, I had a stupid contract. I'm done with them. They're not even here. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm selling the place, so either way, if you want to shut it down, I don't know. I just don't want to.
Well, I think we're going to talk to the solicitor about what our options are, and I think we understand that this is your livelihood and you're upset by the process. You also have to think of it from our perspective, and I think one of the things we'd like to hear, honestly, is contrition of some kind. So, thank you for giving us your perspective, Mike.
And when we get to the remedy situation, I heard Mr. Trikoulis say he doesn't want to do these college events, and we can come up with something that will help him with that. But given the fact that he's denying what the chief said, and this is a hearing and it is appealable, I'm going to ask the chief to have at least one of the officers who is present, who wrote up one of the reports, come to the podium to describe what happened that evening, since he was present. Chief, who do you want to have come up?
Sergeant Michael Bronson, South Kingstown Police. I was the shift supervisor on the night in question. I can answer any questions that you have. The chief surmised it pretty well. Officer Bush was the detail officer, and I came on at 11 p.m. I had a shift of, I believe, 7 or 8 officers, and we actually hadn't even planned. Up until then, Anchor Pete's had been quiet, so we were handling the shift as usual, and it was when we were notified by Officer Bush that the crowd had increased quite a bit. That's when I had sent the shift over. So we didn't even plan on going there until we were notified that the crowd had gotten pretty large and that there was potentially a lot of underage people consuming alcohol, and that's why we went over and took the enforcement action that we did. And frankly, we could have taken more enforcement action, but with the hostile crowd and the numbers of officers I had, that's why I called Narragansett for help, because we were almost to the point where we couldn't handle it. So,
And you were there to observe what happened that evening?
I was trying to manage the safety of my officers, but yes, I was in and out of the establishment, because once we took somebody into custody, whether it was summons or something else, we removed them from the establishment to try and get them outside, handle that, and then send them on their way. But it was a lot to handle, I'll be honest. We had officers in the bar and outside of the bar.
While your officers were attempting to deal with underage individuals who were drinking, was there harassment by the crowd?
Yes, a lot of times what happened was when you would remove one patron, obviously they were there with a group of individuals. That group would follow that patron out. And then it took 1 or 2 officers to tell those people to stay back while they were cursing at us, swearing at us, and it just became very difficult. And like I said, it became a safety issue where I'd called Narragansett and asked them to stand by because I was going to have them come over too.
Okay. An estimate about how many people were there that night?
Just me looking at the crowd, I estimated it over 150, but I mean, I don't do that often, so I can't be. It was quite a bit of people, but do I think he was over capacity? No, but it was a full establishment, that's no question.
And the evening resulted in 4 arrests, I believe? 3 underage and 1 service?
Yes,
of
I believe
alcohol to a
so.
minor?
Yes. We had 1 public drunkenness and 3 possession of underage reports, yes.
And in your opinion, there could have been more arrests?
Without a doubt.
And the reason there weren't more arrests?
I just didn't have the resources. Like I said, if 1 officer was issuing a citation, it took 1 or 2 officers just to maintain safety. And I had given my officers a directive, if somebody gets in your way while you're trying to issue that citation, then you arrest that person for obstruction. And it came to the point where it was just get through the issue and manage it as best we could before somebody got hurt.
Go ahead, Chief.
Sorry, There was one additional arrest that we had to investigate and was added later on. But procuring that,
Procuring alcohol for a minor?
that's a misdemeanor.
Okay. Thank you.
About that? No, I apologize.
So that arrest did not happen that evening, that happened subsequently, correct? Yes. Thank you. Okay.
What had happened that night was the person who received the alcohol was arrested, and then we followed up, and the person who provided that alcohol was then subsequently arrested.
Understood. Okay. I don't know if any council members have questions for the officer.
Did Narragansett actually show up, or you just had him on call?
No, actually, I had them stand by, and by the time closing, I want to say it was quarter of, most of the bar had dissipated at that point where it was something we could handle, and I told Narragansett we wouldn't need them.
And you say quarter of 1 or quarter of 12?
Quarter of 1.
1.
Yeah, quarter of 1. I think once it was seen that we were taking that enforcement action, a lot of people started to go on their way.
I have a question about, one of the arrests seemed to be somebody who was underage, but they had a green bracelet and indicated that they used their real ID that indicated they weren't 21, and they also indicate here that they barely looked at my ID.
I think actually, Officer Bush, was that your arrest, if you want to speak on it? Sure. I just don't want to speak for him when he's right here.
Yeah. It's not your statement, but I believe...
It was his arrest, so
Oh,
I
okay,
was going to have
great,
to take it.
thank you.
Officer John Bush, South Kingstown Police Department. That arrest you're talking about was made, that was the young man who gave the alcohol to the individual that night. He actually provided a fake ID to the bar.
Okay.
And that was obtained, and that was seized the next day when I made the arrest on him for the procurement.
So right, but there is one report here that indicates someone under 21 showed an ID that was a real ID, and he was given a green bracelet anyway. Cameron Schneck?
Yeah, that wasn't my report. I didn't write that.
Yeah.
It may have been
Right.
it may have been the statements he obtained, but it wasn't my report.
So that's sort of an indication of how they weren't very careful checking.
Correct.
Yes. I do remember Officer Schneck stating that to me, and it is in his report.
And bouncers were checking the IDs, or special security, or?
The bouncers were supposed to be. I don't know. It didn't appear that they did a very good job with that. I mean, that's really all I can say, but based on the amount of people that were underage in the establishment, it appeared to me that they did not do their function properly.
Did you see evidence of a minor book?
I did not.
That was a condition.
I did also ask for the capacity that was posted based on the crowd, and I couldn't find that either. I'm not saying he didn't have it, I just couldn't find it.
We didn't see evidence.
So at the end of the day, the owner of the establishment is responsible, but do you guys feel that it was the management company he hired, or?
I think a little bit of both, to be honest with you. My only perspective on the whole thing, and I'm pro-business, I have my own business, I understand, but it shouldn't have to take a whole police department shift at one establishment. That's my issue. I don't blame him for the kids being unruly and all that stuff, but I shouldn't have to just come into work and send a whole shift to one establishment, and we were tied up till 1 a.m.
Sure. Yeah.
My name is Janet Mahoney, and I'm the manager at Anchor Pete's. I do have to address a couple of things. I know Rory himself has been to our restaurant, and he's been present. We don't promote. We also promote a lot of families to come in. We don't promote just these college nights. Pete had hired a company to, there's a lot of restaurants down there doing the exact same thing as Anchor Pete's. As a matter of fact, a long time ago, I worked at one of them. Their capacity is much higher than Anchor Pete's. So my question is, if you have the Bonview, you have the Muse, you have Charlie O's, you have Ponchos, and they're all doing the same thing, and we hire a company and trust them to be doing the right thing at the door, How are these other businesses with a capacity way over ours not getting addressed as much as we have been? I've been quiet for a couple of these functions now because I also am at the restaurant a lot. I work there personally. I've been present when there's been 3 people in the bar, older people like ourselves, and there'll be 8 officers that walk through the door just to pull into the parking lot. The parking lot's empty during the day. So I'm a little nervous, I apologize, but I have seen some circumstances that don't seem quite right. I feel the security company, and I feel the detail at the door. If I saw this gentleman at the door, I would do everything as a younger person going in. I don't think I would even look at him twice. I would, be respectful. I feel that you're not going to maybe possibly catch every person that comes in. However, we're not promoting the underage drinking. I also reach out to the chamber. I have a lot of good connections. If people actually come into the restaurant and speak to us, they realize that we are really good people and we're not doing college nights every night. Unfortunately, Pete was under a contract and, at that time, honored that contract. But as far as the capacity, I know exactly what it is. We had the fire marshals come in. It's 275. And I don't think we were at that capacity the other night. And it could be less.
I don't think I mentioned the capacity.
I know what the capacity
That's
is.
not the issue. It's
But
the condition of
I'm not
people
fighting
that-
with you.
No, I'm not. I'm just answering your question. I didn't say anything about the capacity. I said there was a large crowd that was unruly.
However, the officer was just answered what he thought the capacity was just a few minutes ago.
That's not the
Actually,
issue.
he estimated how many people he thought were there, and he said it was about 150.
Right.
What is that?
But that's not my-
But there's no charge before this council on a capacity issue. There's
That's what-
no charge on that.
I guess what I have to stand up and say is because I work there so much, that I've witnessed so much go on that was unnecessary, even when we were during the day just having a regular lunch. I've been there when I've been closing up and officers have arrived. I've been closed up one night also, and the front door wasn't shut completely, and, there's officers. I just feel like even when we're just trying to do a normal business, not just one night a week, doing what everybody else in Wakefield and Narragansett is doing, there's constant police involvement, pulling into the parking lots, pulling out there. The parking lot could be empty with 3 cars. Patrons have mentioned it. I'd like to stay open for the community. Pete was saying that he wasn't promoting the college nights anymore, honored that contract. How do you move forward and be a good community restaurant? I guess that's my question, without disrespect to the police department.
I think the police presence is a reaction to the behavior.
He did hire the detail. He did hire the security company.
Yeah,
So to walk around,
I'm responding to your, why are the police coming through? I think that's a response to the behavior, the previous behavior.
I understand all that, but like I said, if you even had come in, but there were certain times when it probably wasn't necessary, and, that's why I just wanted to say the couple things that I have, because anybody who has come in on a professional level and even had something to eat at the restaurant realize that we're not secretly serving underage individuals. So I just also wanted to know what, if in fact the Bonneview has in place, do they all have security companies checking IDs at the door? They have no trouble there with underage drinking?
Yeah, with the Bonneviews in Narragansett,
Two
so,
separate towns,
Right.
we don't really
separate
know.
departments.
All right.
separate councils.
How about the Muse? Do they have details checking IDs at the door for their college promotions?
I don't know the answer to that, but I have never heard that there's been a behavior that would warrant it.
All right.
If there's some concerted underage people, maybe somebody could try and take advantage of those other establishments. I think the problem here is just the amount. It's a whole night that seems to be devoted to getting these underage kids in the door.
Well, maybe,
them
like
drunk.
I said, maybe it was the responsibility, maybe the companies that were involved in all this, maybe.
I agree. I mean, I think you're right to be angry at this promotion company that you hired, but in the end, you have to take responsibility for
I understand.
for putting those events on.
I'm just hoping that, being what we learned from this experience, maybe not using them in the future, maybe take note and maybe give us, another chance to move forward without this company, because I just don't think that it was the best choice. So that's it. That's all.
Is this the same company that was there previously, but this is a second company, right? So I'm just trying to remember. I think there was a company initially, and then there was a second, this other company.
Can you, yeah.
Previous officer that was here last, we used his company, Louis' company, and a professional company. They were doing the checking the IDs, and
So the new security company wasn't the original security company?
it was a different company. Yeah. And I mean, we used the same company at the Strand and Lupo's, so that's why I used them.
And how long is your contract with the promotion company?
Oh, it was supposed to have not been last week, but we've got into a fight, and I honored it. It was the last one because it's threatened to sue me. And
Is there an expiration date
yes,
on the contract? What
we're
is it?
done. That was it was supposed to be a 5-week plan. Like whenever that was the 5th one.
The semester's over, so the
Either way, it's
promotion would be
over.
over because the semester's over.
Yeah.
My concern with what has occurred is that I've seen no response from you that you've tried to train your staff to recognize underage patrons. We don't see tip certification.
I brought all that to the town.
Okay.
I brought all that. And then the staff, that's Louis's professional staff. They do the Strand and Lupo's.
Right, but when Louis' staff isn't there, there still begs the question, who's trained to check the IDs before they're served?
I'm trained now.
So,
We all got trained.
so I think when your objection to the officers coming in to look around, I think they would be irresponsible not to do that, given what they've faced from your establishment. So they're coming in even when there's not a promotion going on, because we did not see evidence, and last time you were here, that you had a plan in place to address underage drinking without your Strand people. Listen,
We went ahead and we got trained within those 2 weeks. We got trained. We got the book.
who's we?
My brother, Janet, and my 2 other people, the only other employees that
You do recognize that there are state laws that say you must be certified, you must be alcohol aware, whatever you're using,
every
stop
one of
or
us in
tip
the
or whatever you're
restaurant's
using,
Yep.
that those are laws,
Yep.
right? You understand there are laws that you can't give away free drinks. You understand there are laws, liquor laws, that you're in violation of.
We don't give
That's
away
why
free
the
liquor.
police are going in there,
Right.
to make sure the laws are being respected.
Yeah.
It's my right as a citizen of South Kingstown to make sure that I'm going to be safe, my children are going to be safe, everybody in this room is going to be safe
Right.
from irresponsible liquor service. That's what's at issue here, is irresponsible liquor service.
Well, no, going forward, it's not. And second of all, that incident was because some idiot handed somebody a drink. That's not, the bartender didn't serve him the drink. We didn't serve the drink. Unfortunately, Louis guys couldn't get there in time to stop that. It's not like we didn't serve them the drink.
Just give me
I'm
a
just
minute.
saying, I'm
But
just-
Louis Guys
Yep.
shouldn't have allowed the underage patron
Right.
in the door. That's where the problems are occurring. So Louis Guys were inefficient in what they were hired to do. You had underage patrons inside
Can I ask a quick question?
the establishment. Yeah, of course.
I heard something about bracelets, so does that mean that 18 plus was allowed?
It was an 18 plus. It was an 18 plus event.
And
Yeah.
it's just
If you
an
mix,
accident waiting to happen, 18 plus. There is.
Well, that was the last accident waiting to happen because there's no more college things. I'm not doing it.
Well, there's no more college kids, so that, I mean,
Right.
it's May. It's over until September.
And I'm hoping the place would be sold by then. I'm hoping it'll be sold by then.
I think all of us up here would like to see you succeed as a restaurant.
I
It
wanna
was a
succeed.
favorite spot for all of us for many years. We want to see you succeed as a restaurant, not as a nightclub, right? You don't have a nightclub license. We don't issue those. We issue victualling licenses, right? And we issue liquor licenses to go along with the service of food. We don't issue licenses that are nightclub licenses. That's not what we've given you. And you have violated that by not respecting the liquor laws, and the obligation that brings.
Why is it that you couldn't pay the $500 fee prior to reopening after the 10-day closure?
It wasn't that I couldn't pay it. I honestly didn't. I forgot, and I tried to give it to the officer that day, and when he came to give me the.
It was very clear and direct instruction given by the council at a prior meeting that you neglected, which
I didn't
forced...
neglect that. It was.
You neglected it. It forced our police to come over the next day after you reopened to close your place until you were able to pay the fine.
Like I said, I honestly forgot. I don't get here till 5 o'clock, and I explained to the officer, and it was written on my board. I opened up at 5. I tried coming here.
Your excuses here indicate your irresponsibility as a business owner in town.
No, it's not
You've
irresponsible.
neglected direction given by the council.
I bring my kid to daycare. I pick up my kid. I don't get here till 5 o'clock. I'm sorry. I don't get here till 5 o'clock. It's not that I really purposely try to do that. It's an accident.
You invest monies into your business to be able to operate it, for it to be functional and be able to be solvent. But you have an inability to pay a $500 fee in a timely manner at a meeting where it was given very clear instruction. We want to work with you, we do, but you're making it hard for us. You don't pay your fine when it was very clear. You open prematurely, 4 days later you do the same exact thing you got in trouble for initially. Now I understand you're trying to point the finger at others that you've engaged to help you in this endeavor, but ultimately the responsibility is yours. You own the business. And we have a responsibility to look out for the safety of the town, the people of this town.
All right. I think the council has expressed its displeasure with this whole situation. Mike, what are the options before us?
So I'm hearing a few things tonight, one of which, and Rory just made the statement, we'd like to work with you. Deb pointed out that we give out victualling and liquor licenses, not nightclub licenses. So one of the things you can do in coming up with a solution that does not put the gentleman out of business is restrict the hours that liquor can be served. For instance, no alcohol service after 10 o'clock. And that way, it's more of a restaurant. It seems like these issues are happening after 10 o'clock. In both cases, they're happening between 11 and 1 a.m. So you could put a restriction for, his license is effective through November 30th. So you could put a restriction on when alcohol has to cease being served. He has said on the record, no more college nights, so you can make that a requirement. And we don't know if he'll sell his business between now and September, but when September comes, that restriction would be there if you said no more college nights. And then there are the two others. You can impose yet another fine because it's a second offense. You can impose a fine of more than $500 up to $1,000. And you can also reimpose a suspension of the license for a period of time.
So Mike, in terms of our other licenses, normally it's roughly around 10 o'clock, or I can't remember?
No, a liquor license normally gives you the ability to stay open till 1 a.m. to serve liquor. If you want to stay open to 2 a.m., that requires special vote from the council. I don't believe there's any establishment in town with a 2 a.m. We don't have any 2 a.m. licenses. But because you're here at a revocation hearing, you could revoke the license. Now, the state wants the local liquor licensing board to deal with progressive discipline. So my advice is not that you revoke it, although you could. I would go with the progressive discipline. This is a second offense.
So I would be in favor of all three conditions. Liquor service ceases at 10 p.m. A 10-day suspension, and a $1,000 fine. I'd also like the council to revisit the entertainment license we issued in January. We can't do that here tonight, but we could revisit that at another council meeting and address the entertainment license. The 10 o'clock cease liquor service still gives Mr. Trikoulis the absolute ability to run a restaurant, to serve all the families, to be everything he wants to be. I think we could all be comfortable with 10 o'clock. Another suspension is in order, and I think we should make sure that Mr. Trikoulis cannot open after that suspension unless the fine is paid. Right? So a suspension, a fine, and an hour 10 p.m. cutoff on liquor service, and he may not reopen if the fine is not paid.
I just want to add something about the suspension so that we're clear. So the first time around, in essence, you closed them down for 10 days. Now, one of the options you have, again, if you want to try to work with him, is you suspend for 10 days the service of alcohol, but he can continue to run his restaurant without alcohol because his victualling license would not, unless you wanted to. Again, I'm just throwing options out there so that you're aware of what all of your options are.
No. Go ahead.
My personal opinion is I think that if we close him down for another 10 days, that's going to be probably the end of his business. I would be more apt to change the time that he can serve alcohol for. Part of me would be okay with imposing a fine, but I don't feel that the license should be revoked for another 10 days at this point.
Okay. Other thoughts?
I don't think any of us want to be in this position at the same time. I mean, I think we all want businesses to succeed. I think, if I remember correctly, we had a similar situation with the previous owner of Tavern on Main with College Night, but that was more of unruliness, and I don't think it was a drinking thing, but it was fights and stuff like that, if I remember correctly. Well, did it get suspended? I can't.
Oh, we didn't.
No.
Yeah, okay. Right. Warned and shut down himself, I think.
So I think the idea is definitely progressive. So I think we need to impose a punishment that's equal to or greater than the previous one. And I think
progressive would be...
I think the 10 o'clock time limit is, I mean, all those things that we talked about and discussed, that's progressive, I would say. I think the 10 o'clock limit on serving alcohol is fine. I would support that.
What do you mean by limit, I'm sorry?
The 10 o'clock time
Oh, all right, it's-
Yeah, it's serve
curfew.
alcohol after
Yeah.
10.
The service.
Okay.
I think you might be right about, I mean, they've already been closed down so much recently, I don't know how they can handle another complete closure.
Well, I just think not even just from, whether or not someone can handle it financially is one thing, right? But perception. But at the same time, we're supposed to be protecting the general public. But I think if we impose the 10 o'clock, we stop the issue that they've been having, which has to do with college nights.
It's sort of interesting to me, Mike, the option of allowing him to operate as a restaurant without liquor service for a certain number of days would limit probably his capacity to earn, but it doesn't eliminate it. So I think I could sort of be open to that. It's not as stiff as the last time, but limiting the liquor hours to 10 p.m., I think solves the biggest problem that we're having, which is this college night type of event, and the underage drinking, right? I don't think you're going to see the underage drinking at 8 p.m. Just don't.
They don't get out that soon,
Yeah, right.
usually.
Right.
But I think, I hear what you're saying, Joe, in terms of being able to serve only food, but again, I think if people are going out to eat, it's going to be...
It would be limiting.
Right.
Yep.
I think any business relies on the margins from its liquor sales, so I would not like to see a suspension of their liquor license any further. I think that would accelerate the closure of your business. I do think a fine of around $750 would be reasonable to me. I think liquor service stopping at 10 p.m. would really cut into your margin as well. I'm okay with 11 p.m.
Thoughts on that? Is 10 o'clock something that people are wedded to, or, I mean, I do think that the college drinking time sounds like it started at sort of 11, that's when the kids were starting to show up, so maybe 11 is okay, or?
I'm wedded to 10 p.m. because I will tell you what will happen if it's 11. So, I've been there, right? So what's going to happen is what happens at 1:45 at last call.
You order a
So
bunch
we're
of
going to
drinks.
have last call now at 11:15, and the 50 college students that are in there are going to buy 4 drinks each, right? It's what happens at last call when you're serving that age group. So that age group, if you're calling last call at 12:30, or you're calling it at 1:45, they want to buy 3 drinks.
Yeah,
So 10 o'clock stops the college-age clientele right there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Deb, and the documentation that we got indicates the detail started at 10:30, and by 11 he had to call back up. So I think 11 is a problem.
Too late.
Yeah.
Any families or people that are out to dinner in this town, by 10 o'clock, I mean, other restaurants shut down at
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Monday night, I tried to go find something to eat. It was impossible, right? 10 o'clock is ample to run a restaurant
With liquor service.
with liquor service.
And then Rory also brought up
750?
750 is a fine, and were you saying no suspension of either of their licenses?
So this is just a show cause on the liquor license, right? We're not discussing the victualling license whatsoever.
Yeah,
Mr.
just the-
Trikoulis holds the victualling license. He can serve food. We're not restricting that. That's not what this is about.
Yeah, I just
Right?
meant like closing him down, essentially, the way we did the last time.
Right, so what we can do is suspend his liquor service for 10 days. He can continue to operate, or whatever you want to do, he can continue to operate with the victualling license. We're not addressing that. We're not taking any action on his victualling license. So,
Does the police department have an opinion?
right.
My problem is, I don't want to see him go out of business, but my personal opinion, and my opinion is the safety of everyone else out there, and my officers. That's what I'm concerned with. He complains that the officers are in and out of there. They're not. They're there when there's a complaint. They're not there that often. They don't go there during the day. They have better things to do. But my problem is safety of everyone. Your families, my family, my police officers. That's what I'm concerned with. And when I have to empty the parking lot at the police station and fill his parking lot up with police cars, we're not there because we want to be there. They all have better things to do. They're there because there's a problem, someone's going to get hurt. So my concern, my job is to protect everyone in this town and all the neighboring roadways when these people file out intoxicated in their vehicles, and we've all seen the carnage that produces. And I've seen plenty of it in my time. So that's my concern. That's what I want to stop. I'm concerned about the safety of everyone. I'm concerned about my children, my grandchildren, as Mr. Trikoulis should be as well. So whatever we can institute that's fair to him to keep his business running, but serving alcohol to young adults, I'm sure their parents don't want them here. They're not paying for college for them to go drink, straight alcohol with no food being served. So that's my problem. I don't know what the solution is, but my problem is everyone's safety. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. I know he's taking it personal, what I'm doing, but I'm doing it for my officers, and I'm doing it for everyone's safety. So I don't know. I don't have the answer.
So, Chief, in your opinion, though, limiting liquor sales to end at 10?
I think that'll help, yes.
That should eliminate a lot of what's...
Yeah, like Deb says, normally families, they're done,
Right.
they're long gone by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Most of the restaurants in town with liquor licenses close 9 to 10 o'clock. So that's a good start, but I just want to make it clear, I'm not here to put him out of business. I'm here to protect the public.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to put them out of business. Nope.
Okay, so
So one of my concerns with 10 p.m. is it really cuts out the younger crowd that are of age. Someone who mid-20s, they may like to go to a bar, past 10 o'clock. I think closing at 11 is fine for someone of that age, but I think if you close at 10 p.m., you really kind of go away from even having that crowd or cutting them out from the ability to come in during that time. I'm just speaking for myself and friends of mine as to different times when we would go out. And, certainly if they were to stop serving liquor at 10 p.m., that would not be a place where I would go. So ultimately, I wouldn't even consider going there if that were to be the case. And I think there are probably many with that mindset just like me who are in mid-20s, who, if were to go out, would go out during that time frame. And I know a lot of SK, is the middle age, and past 10 p.m. you're going to lose that crowd. But as far as the young to mid-20s that are of age, I think it's important if they have the ability to target them, they have to stay open until at least 11 p.m. and be able to serve till then.
Well, my opinion is that there have been instances now in two times that have created a show cause hearing, and it's been a long time since I've been out after 10, but it would seem to me that we need to take some action that would help protect the public and these young people, and I think the 10 p.m. does it.
So, quick question. The 10 p.m., having to stop serving alcohol, does that mean they have to close their kitchen at that point? No, right? So you could still stay open later, just you wouldn't be able to serve alcohol. Right.
And nothing would prevent Mr. Tracoulis from coming back to you
And
after
asking,
several
Months.
months of calmness to ask you to reconsider. At any time.
that was my other thought,
At
that
any time, you can reconsider if there is a
pattern of success.
pattern of success. Yeah, there we go.
Does that also work in reverse? So if we, say, took them down to 11, but notice that there are still problems, then
I think-
could we go down to 10?
I think my concern is that there's been multiple problems, only 2 that have generated a show cause hearing. My concern is, if we go to 11, I don't want to have it on my conscience if something were to happen. You know, I think I'd feel comfortable with 10, but 11 concerns me.
I think it's a trust is earned kind of a decision we're making. So I think Mr. Tracoulis has every opportunity to earn our trust and the police department's trust again. And we would be amenable to maybe moving the time from 10 to 11 to midnight even, if we see the pattern of success. But I'd like to start at 10 to give us the ability to go forward, not have to come back and reduce it.
Right.
11 didn't work, and now we're going to 9.
And I also feel-
I don't want to go that route.
And I-
I want to start at 10
Right.
and move forward.
And I also feel going to 10 makes me feel positive enough that we're not having to shut him down,
I don't
you
want
know,
to shut them down.
for 10 days, because I think that would be detrimental to the business. So if we were voting, I would vote for 10 o'clock with the 750 fine, and that shows, I think, a progressive kind of enforcement. I think shutting them down for 10 days isn't going to make
So no,
or fix the problem.
no suspension of the liquor license for any period of time?
Correct. Just changing the hours of when liquor can be served. Because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the issue is every issue that we've had that I'm aware of has happened after a certain period of time at night.
All right, so we've discussed a number of options. I think 750, people seem to have settled on that as a fine amount. 10 o'clock for limit on the liquor sales. And then,
And do we put a time frame on when the fine is paid? Is it paid by tomorrow or the day after, or?
well, we should probably
I
give
would
them some
think
time.
we don't want him to reopen, right? So if he pays the fine tomorrow, he can open tomorrow, right? As soon as he pays the fine, he can reopen.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'll help them with the motion when they get there.
Okay, so right now, we're considering 750 fine, 10 o'clock liquor sales, curfew. Anything else? Is that sufficient for?
Just reach out to the chief once more, because it's your staff that had to deal with this. Is there a feeling on a suspension from the police force?
Well, my only concern about progressive discipline, he received a suspension of 10 days. Now he's not being suspended at all, so I don't know in lieu of that if the early closure can be in lieu of the suspension, but really we've suspended him 10 days. Now we're not suspending him at all. That's my only concern for future hearings. I'm not sure. I have to defer to Mike on that.
Here's my feeling. If you have a third hearing on similar behavior as to the last two, you are going to be at the point of revocation of the license. It's not going to be a suspension. I am fairly confident at that point that Department of Business Regulation would uphold the revocation. So if we're here a third time, you're probably going to just be revoking his license. So I think, so in answer, I think if you do the 10 o'clock, you do the 7:50, and you suspend his license until such time as the 7:50 is paid, I think that'll do it. And let's hope he's never back here for these types of violations, because at that point, for the public safety and every other reason, he will not have a license.
Right, and so the reason I asked you, Joe, is I agree that the penalty should be progressive as you continue to commit these violations. But I'm a little bit concerned from a business standpoint that I think his business is fragile at this point, and I wouldn't want to be the reason that, you know, that...
I understand that.
And I think...
That's not what I want either.
Right. I don't think anybody
I
wants
just
that.
want
Right.
everyone to be safe.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is imposing the 10 o'clock, that's going on forever. Do you know what I mean? That's not just for next week, this week, that's for as long as they're open, it's going to be 10 o'clock unless we decide to change that. So that's a significant impact
Right.
on...
And as Deb said, he builds trust and he can ask for that to be lifted, but...
The only thing, Rory's not going to be there, though.
Yeah. We'll be at the Chop House or something, I don't know.
No, I'm okay. Like I said, I don't want him to go out of business, but I've been in those situations when it's just complete chaos. I've done the same thing that these officers do, and you end up arresting 2 or 3 people. There's probably 30 that run off. You know, and my concern is them getting into those vehicles and going out on the road, and then that creates a whole nother problem. And like I said, I've seen the aftermath plenty of times, more than I wanted.
And I think with the 10 o'clock also, whatever promotion companies are not going to want to do anything at Anchor Pete's because of the time, you know, so I don't think we're going to have to deal with any more promotional companies, in my opinion, unless they did something during the day, which would be unusual.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
They were doing something on Sunday during the day.
Mike, I have a question for you. If we required the fine to be due by a certain date, can we accrue interest for every day thereafter for which it wasn't paid?
So that's an interesting thought. What I think would be more effective is you simply say, starting now, the license is suspended until such time as the fine is paid. Means he can't even serve till 10 o'clock until the fine's paid. Can't open.
Can I ask Peter another question? What was the weekend thing that was going on, or on a Sunday? Was it a brunch thing?
That
Or,
was a brunch, yeah.
and you were attracting a lot of younger...
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a DJ, like a reggae style brunch with music and stuff like that. And it didn't, I mean, second week didn't draw a lot of people, and I asked the students why. They said because, and like I don't want to offend anybody, but they said there was a lot of cops, and they just didn't want to go. They said the vibe was ruined, and that's the reason why we...
The reason why I'm asking that question is, I guess my hope is that you don't plan on doing those college brunches. I guess what I'm concerned with is...
Yeah.
We want you to be successful. We want you to find ways to make money. But I think you've been struggling with...
It's hard to...
What I'm getting at is you've been struggling with trying to make money by going after the college crowd, which has caused, I think, more harm to you than a benefit.
That's what I was going to say.
And has put people in our town, from citizens to police officers to people just passing through, in harm's way. if there's underage drinking, and we're not doing anything to curtail that.
Yeah. That's right. Like you guys were saying, like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. Really, no college kid comes in unless it's a college like specific event. I've never seen college kids hang out there on a Friday night because we don't do any college events. So no one. They all go to the they have their set schedule at the Bonneview, wherever they go to. So I mean, like the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, it won't matter because you'll never see any kids in there. They only come in on that Wednesday. Or when we did that Sunday brunch. But other than that, we never have college kids in there at night.
Peter, was the Sunday event put on by a promotion company, or was that your own event?
It was another promotion company, and then they stopped the deal with us because it just didn't work out for them.
Yeah, that seems to be a common thread there, that the promotion companies are what creates these show cause hearings.
Unfortunately, like a lot of college kids are followers, so they follow the companies. Me throwing a Facebook or an Instagram special on food won't attract anybody unless I have some hip kid doing it.
So, Mike, we can't stop. Like, for instance, we put the 10 o'clock in, but is there any way to limit college events? No.
Well, you can ask him whether or not he'll voluntarily give up these promotional events on Sundays and Wednesdays.
I mean,
he
we
said
opened
that
last
he's-
Sunday, and it was really, we didn't do the event last Sunday. But then again, it was dead. I mean, it's like you don't want to use them, but then they're the ones that bring you the revenue. I stopped doing it, and then it was just dead.
Yeah, and I understand the frustration and the challenge there, but I think we have to all admit that it's the promotions that have created two show cause hearings, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that was a different company. There wasn't like the last time we used that company that did the brunch didn't really have any. There wasn't underage drinking. They were pretty strict.
So just let me give you a couple of pieces of advice, right? You opened in the late fall, and you haven't been through a full year. It's a very seasonal economy, right? So you can look forward to being busy from July 1st through Labor Day, right? So you've got 8 weeks to make probably 60 or 70% of your yearly income. I think leading up to it, now you've only got a little bit of time leading up to it, and that time, and we're affording you the chance to build your staff, build your reputation around food, and that's where you'll be successful all summer, right? That's what happens. I think the unfortunate part for you is you opened in a very slow November and February are the two worst months in the restaurant industry, and you opened into that economy. So you felt forced to raise revenue by any means possible, right? I understand. I would caution you not to give in to this too early, because the busy need to rid yourself of the reputation as the college place, and the local people will come around.
The only other bit of advice I could add would be, instead of focusing, like I said, on these promotional companies, is to figure out either through other resources or hiring some sort of a marketing company, just to help you make sure that people know that you're out there. Case in point, things do change all the time. Things get rebranded. The restaurant that was there before you was Rody Joe's. What a lot of people forget is that actually Cello's is the same company. It was just one of their sons that decided that Cello's wasn't doing so well, so they decided to rebrand under Rody Joe's and open up that way. And I think when you first got your license, I said to you, you got rid of that game room in the back, and that was the reason, when my kids were younger, we would go there because we could actually eat and give them a few bucks, and they'd go in the back room and play while I could actually eat my food instead of having to worry about what they're doing. So I think I don't know if you still have that equipment or if you sold it, but
It's back.
it's back? Okay. But none of us, like I said, want to see you go out of business or make it difficult for you to make a living. And, the restaurant business is hard, and, most restaurants do fail, unfortunately, but we don't want to be the reason why you fail, but we don't also want to have another hearing, because in that event, I don't think that would go so well at that point.
All right, so I think I hear a little bit of consensus here. Just one question for my clarification. Moving forward, if he sells the establishment that he's talking about, does the liquor license going forward have
Yeah,
the same?
you have to authorize the transfer of the liquor license. There'd have to be a hearing on that, and you could, this will only apply to Anchor Pete's
Okay.
right now. So if he sells the business and someone else comes in, at a public hearing, you will question them about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. But this will only apply to Anchor Pete's.
Okay, so I think we're perhaps ready for the motion. Mike, can you help us?
So before you close the public hearing, which is what you'll do, is I just want to acknowledge, like the last time, you have before you a record which has been provided you by the police department. That record consists of a summary sheet from the chief as well as written officer police incident reports that have been accepted into this record. Additionally, you heard testimony this evening from the chief, and you heard testimony from at least 2 officers. You also heard testimony from Mr. Trikoulis and his manager. All of that is part of this record. So now that I've acknowledged that, there should be a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. And then we need, I think, maybe your help to,
Well, I think Deb's going to be
you
doing
want-
it, and I'll help you.
okay.
So the motion is to restrict liquor sales to 10 p.m., to impose a
That would be 7 days a week.
7 days a week, to impose a $750 fine, and Mr. Trikoulis, from tomorrow, are we starting right now with this shutting down, or tomorrow, perhaps?
You can start tomorrow. And I think what you want to say is that the liquor license is suspended beginning tomorrow, and the suspension doesn't end until the $750 is paid to the clerk's office.
There we are. So that's the other piece of the motion, right? So Mr. Trikoulis may not open until that $750 fine is paid.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Under discussion, I just want, as part of the motion, that you base this motion on the record that was before you this evening, including the written documents and the testimony that you heard. You're basing your motion on that.
So I have based my motion on the written documents that have been presented to us and the testimony that we have heard.
Is
Can you ask
that still in order? We can,
Maybe you can ask me the question because they closed the hearing. What is the question?
The thing is, like, once in a while we have these open mic things that, like, country musicians come around
Right.
at night, and sometimes they play 8 to 11 at night. If I tell them the last call is at 10 and they have a drink at 10:30, they have their holding their drinks till at 10:30.
Well, that's
I don't
always
wanna be-
good.
I just want to.
No,
Don't get in
as
trouble.
long as, the way this would work, as long as your bar closes at 10, if people or patrons are sitting at their tables with drinks, that's different. You just cannot serve them after 10, and that's no different than when you have to close at 1 and you have last call at 12:45. Yes, people will still have drinks.
thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion at all? I think, none of us wanted to be here again tonight, Mr. Trikulis. We take you at your word that you're going to stop having these events, and I think that's going to be to the betterment of your own business and to the community in general. I want to thank the officers for responding and doing their jobs. And yeah, hopefully your business will succeed going forward. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn?
So moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That concludes the hearing at 8:13.